What's up guys, my name is Sara Dietschy, runs Peachy. We are here with the new Samsung Galaxy phones. We have the S20, S20 Plus, and the S20 Ultra. Look at that camera bump, holy smokes. So we got 5 cameras total, including the selfie camera. On the Ultra, we have a 108 megapixel wide with a 48 telephoto and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. So that 12 megapixel ultra wide is what runs consistent between these 3 phones, but this is definitely going to be the most impressive camera-wise, because you also have a 40 megapixel selfie camera, which is just insane. With phones now, you know, the upgrade cycles are becoming a little bit longer. Why do people want new phones? For the camera. They don't want to carry around their hefty camera equipment. They just want their phone in them. And I think that's where we're gonna see the most intrigue, these cameras. I mean, hello. So if you notice, the S20 Plus and also the Ultra has 4 cameras on that rear bump. Now, we actually don't know what the 4th camera is for right now, but we were able to kind of test around with the ultra wide, the wide, and the telephoto, and also tested out the space zoom, which is pretty impressive. You can do 10 times zoom with no loss of quality on the Ultra, as well as a 30 times zoom. That is that space zoom that mixes in optical zoom and also digital zoom and uses AI to mix them up and mix and match to make the perfect sandwich of zooming. With that S20 Ultra, you have that 40 megapixel selfie camera, so impressive. But when I went to compare with, you know, the S20 Ultra with a 10 megapixel selfie camera, you really couldn't tell the difference, and that's because default, it has that beauty effect on it. I don't know if you noticed, but Samsung phones with the selfies, things are a little bit more smoothed out, which is maybe great for posting on Insta stories and Snapchat. But when you have 40 megapixels, I wanna see that clarity. I wanna see the difference. So if you go into the filters, go into the settings, again, you can decrease that beauty effect, and that's where you really get to see the detail actually standing out. With all the phones, the sensor is 3 times the size, which is good to hear because those phone sensors, they're so small. And also they're doing some pixel stitching. So 9 pixels into 1, which is great because you're gonna get better clarity and an all-around sharper image. Sharper image, remember the sharper image scooters? One of the most interesting things they added is one take mode, where you press the camera shutter once and it gives you a plethora of options. So you have a live focus option where you can blur the background. You have a couple stills, you have a video, you have some slow motion, you have some fast motion, and you can basically decide what you want after the fact of shooting it. So think about a birthday moment, someone's blowing out candles, you wanna get video and photos, you can't decide, you flip over to that mode and you get all the content you can decide after. This is very exciting. I think as we see the hardware advancing in phones, we need to see more software optimization and helping us capture everything, and then we can decide after. That is a common theme I'm seeing now, not just in phones, but also software, and I'm here for it. A big surprise was we have 8K recording. Wow, that is a great buzzy thing to put on your spec sheet, 8K, but you can't control the focus. So pretty much everything is just gonna be in focus. You're not gonna have any of that depth of field, which is a very easy tell that, hey, even though you're recording in 8K resolution, this is definitely still being recorded with a phone. When you shoot in 8K, you can use the video editor to do multiple things. Export it to 4K, full HD, and also grab stills from the 8K footage. It's gonna be nice and sharp. They also improved super steady mode, where they added an axis of stabilization beyond just vertical and horizontal. Oh, no way in hell. Listen, I know with Android 10 hitting more phones, you're gonna have more abilities to swipe everywhere. As an iPhone user, when I'm wanting to go back on a web page, I swipe. When I'm wanting to go in between video modes or things, I'm used to swiping. On Android phones, there's a lot of tapping, and the Samsung UI for photo video, I feel like has actually gotten worse. I've always championed Samsung for having all of the settings right there, but there's so many different ways to access this. So if you press the settings button, that's how you get to the frame rates. If you scroll to the end and you click the more, that's how you get to super slow-mo and slow-mo, but you really don't know how many frames per second that slow-mo actually is. It took us a minute during the briefing to actually figure out that it's 960 frames per second in super slow-mo and 480 frames per second in normal slow-mo, which is super impressive, but that info really isn't there on the screen. You don't know how many frames per second it is. So that's how you get to the slow-mo and the live focus. But then to change to 4K 60 frames per second, you have to do it through the settings. And it's kind of just the hodgepodge of everywhere. And when you're in those other settings, like the slow-mo, you have to press the little arrow button to go back to the normal camera. It just seems to be getting a little bit more clunky. I hate to say it because I've really championed Samsung for having all those settings right there. You don't have to go into the deep settings like on the iPhone, but even with the iPhone, we've seen that you can now tap the frames per second to change in camera, which is pretty great. And you can actually see the frames per second on the camera, 30, 60, and that's kind of what the UI is lacking with the latest Samsung phones. I was so focused on the cameras that I didn't even mention you have a 120 hertz refresh rate display, so exciting. With 5G, you're gonna be able to play some pretty impressive mobile games as well. So they partnered with Microsoft to bring Forza Street to the mobile for the first time. So the combo of the 120 hertz refresh rate and 5G is gonna make this experience possible on your mobile phone. iPhone users love AirDrop, right? Seamlessly transfer lots of pictures and videos to other iPhone users. So Samsung and Google, they're feeling it. Google is just now demoing an AirDrop competitor. And with these new Samsung phones, you can do cast. You can cast it up to your Samsung QLED 8K, which we'll definitely have to test out once we have this phone hands-on, because I got that 8K QLED. Heyo! Samsung is partnering with Google to have a native experience with video chat using Duo. You can chat with up to 8 people in full HD. So I think this is the first time with these S20 phones that you're going to be able to chat in full HD. Full HD. All of these S20 phones are 5G compatible, which, you know, the carriers really haven't rolled out anything real yet, but you'll be ready. Beyond that, there's a little few announcements like new Galaxy Buds are coming in at $149, and the biggest difference for me is an added microphone. So they're going from 2 to 3 microphones that will hopefully improve phone calls. Everything else is pretty similar besides the improved battery life of 11 hours of playback, and then also you get an additional 11 hours with the case. So I like that. I like the price point it's at, $149. I actually love the Galaxy Buds. The fit is amazing and the sound sounds great. Currently in California for the Unpacked event. It is happening right now as you're watching this video. This is where they're releasing the S20 phones, but also they just completely dropped a commercial about the Galaxy Z Flip during the Oscars. No press events, no event. So you'll have to follow me on Instagram and Twitter because I have a feeling that they're gonna have some hands-on time with that new folding screen phone. That's pretty exciting. I had a Twitter clip go kind of semi-viral, equating it to the Nintendo SP. Good times. Since everyone's always complaining how expensive Apple is, and not to mention that their iPhone 11 starts at $699, which is a pretty great price for iOS for a new iPhone. These S20 phones have increased another $100. So the S10 last year started at $899, and now we're starting at $999 and going up to $1399. Oh my gosh, these things are getting so expensive. Of course, Samsung has the A50, which is the cheaper price point. You know, these Galaxy lines of phones, I just don't expect to be as expensive as the Notes. So only time will tell how expensive the Note phones will be this year. So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram to see me at the Unpacked event right now as you're watching this video, and thank you so much. Let me know if you liked it. Hit that subscribe button for new videos every single week. I have a podcast, That Creative Life, and it's popping, guys. A lot of great people on it. So subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. That's really it. It's so beautiful here. It's so sunny.